Good morning. Today we're learning Bobekama Daf Nun. The Shia is going to be Leili Nishmas, my grandmother, that's a Shloshim today. Rochel Masha, Bas Yontov Lipman, V'chaya Esther. Says the Mishnah on Daf Mem Tesel on the base. A Choyfe Berber Rishus HaYochid, someone who dug a hole where the hole is in Rishus HaYochid. Pischoy, it's a bit of a slanty hole, bor. Rishus Rabim in Rishus Rabim. Oiber Rishus Rabim, all that he dug underneath Rishus Rabim, Pischol Rishus HaYochid, and the entrance is in his own Rishus, and then he was mafke his Rishus, so now it's in Rishus Rabim as well. Or if he did it Rishus HaYochid in his Rishus, Pischol Rishus HaYochid Acher. Or let's say, he dug it underneath his friend's Rishus, so Pischol Rishus HaYochid, and the entrance is in his Rishus, and then he was mafke. Rashi says, Acher, of his own. Chayev. All these cases, it's chayev. Tana Rabbanon learned, Achoyfe Berber Rishus HaYochid, Du Pischol Rishus Rabim, and its entrance is in Rishus Rabim. Chayev, that's a chayev. A Berber Rishus Rabim, basically. V'zo Bar Bator Divrei Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel says this is the Bar that the Torah was talking about, the Berber Rishus Rabim. Rabbi Akiva says, a person who has a hole at the bar in his rishus, and he was mafke his whole rishus afterwards, and his bar is still his. It's rishus HaYochid, but now it's in bang in middle of rishus Rabim, but it's still his. So that has an owner. So the Chorah Machloikas, where the bar in the Torah is, it Rabbi Shmuel holds in rishus Rabim, and Rabbi Akiva holds in Rishus HaYochid. Amar Rabba, says Rabbi Chiddush. B'Berber Rishus Rabim, Kulam Eloi Pligi de Mechayev. Everyone agreed to what Rabbi Shmuel says, that Yechayev in Berber Rishus Rabim. My timer, why is it so? Amar Kro, it says in the Pasuk, Iftach, it says if someone opened a bar, uncovered it, V'chiichre, and he dug it, or he dug a hole. If already for unrevealing a hole, taking off its cover, if you dug the hole, bury yourself, like all shkein, for sure why does the Torah say both? Elo, the Torah is telling you, shall iske psicha val iske kriya ba'oloi. That the reason Yechayev is, the Torah is telling you these two cases, that the Chiv is not because you own the bar, it's because you dug it or because you unrevealed it. That's why Yechayev. And that means even if it's not yours, that's why everyone's masking in Rishus Rabim Yechayev. Lo nechleku, so where the machloikes, elo beberber Rishus, where I do own the bar. Rabbi Akiva sova berber Rishus, now Yechayev. You also chayev when it's in his Rishus. Why the Ksiv Bala bar, the owner of the bar? How am I the owner if it's in Rishus Rabim? Elomai, if it's in Rishus HaYochid, Elomai Elomai b'birdies b'bailim kol ma'arachmona. The Torah is mechadesh that even in Rishus HaYochid, if I was mafke all around the bar, I'm still chayav, and that's why it's called bar boy, because I'm the owner. It's still my property where the bar is. Rabbi Shmuel sova ba'al atakola. Rabbi Shmuel holds that when it says ba'al bar, it doesn't mean the owner of the bar. It means the ba'al of the one who caused this damage, this hazard. That's what it means. But really, it means only in Rishus Rabim. But if it's Rishus HaYochid, you're potter. Elo, frek the Gemara, mai zo bar amateur, the Kamar Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Shmuel both say, this is the bar that says in the Torah. And one talks about Rishus HaYochid and one talks about Rishus Rabim. So Bishleim Rabbi Shmuel, it means dafka Rishus HaYochid, Rishus Rabim. Because Rishus HaYochid you're potter. That means that's the bar that talks in the Torah. But if you're Rabbi Akiva, that means all this. So why does it say this is the bar that says in the Torah? Says the Gemara, Zo boy sheposach b'yakosov tchila letashlumin. Then the pasuk it says, in the pasuk where it comes to pay, it says bala bar yishalim. So that means when it comes to tashlumim, the Torah, what the Torah says clearly over there is bala bar. And what's bala bar? Rabbi Akiva learns the owner of the bar. That means the Rishus HaYochid. So that means zo bar b'Torah first by tashlumim. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yosef cholik on Rabbi, he says the opposite. If you did a bar Rishus HaYochid and you're mafke everywhere around it, kulam eloi pligi de mechayev, everyone, even Rabbi Shmuel, agrees that Yechayev. My time bala bar Amar Rachmona. It says clearly Balabur. So even a bird that has an owner, like in Rishus HaYochid, Yechayev. Askinan. Ki pligi, whether machloikes, the bar b'Rishus HaRabim. A bar in Rishus HaRabim, Rabbi Shmuel Sova, bar b'Rishus HaRabim, nam Yechayev. You also chayev in bar b'Rishus HaRabim. Why? Dichsiv ki ich, like we said before, but here only Rabbi Shmuel's maskim did. Dichsiv ki iftach v'chi ichra. Imal psicha chayev, if you find revealing Yechayev al kriya lekoshkin, elo shal iske psicha, val iske kriya ba'oloi. To tell you that for digging it, Yechayev. Where Akiva, no, you can't learn from there. Why? Because if it would say only unrevealing a bar, have a mina poisech or the sagale bekisui. By if you unreveal it, then you could cover it and you potter, and you're not chayav anymore. But if you dig a bar from fresh, lo sagale bekisui at the time you can't. It's not enough to cover it with a cover. You need to fill it up with earth. And if you don't fill it up with earth, you'll be chayav. So that's why the Torah needs to tell you ki ichre. If it would say only ki iftach, you wouldn't know that. Because if it would say only ki ichre, habam in a kriyo de boy kisui. When you dug it, then you chayav, and you need to cover it. And if you don't cover it, you chayav. Mishum do avad ma'isa, because he dug it up. Aval poiseach, if you only unreveal it, the lo avad ma'isa, that if bar already exists, maybe he doesn't need to bother covering and he's potter for unrevealing a bar. Kumash malon, that's why the Torah tells you that both cases, you chayav in both cases, if you cover it, you potter. The elamai, l'chera, maido bar armor bater, the kamar bishmo, bishlei Rabbi Akiva, bar armor bater, b'Rishus HaYochid, then it means only in Rishus HaYochid. But if you're Rabbi Shmuel, they says bar armor bater is Rishus HaRabim, but he also is masking to Rishus HaYochid. So why is this the bar that said the Torah? So the Gemara, the bar is supposed by a cost of tchila lenezokim. At the beginning of the pasuk it says Chi iftach ishbar, ki ichra ishbar, and from there we learn that that's talking about where the damage happened in Nezokim, and there we learn that B'Rishus HaRabim Yechayev. So that one means Baram Batorah. This is the first bar the Torah is talking about when it talks about falling into, when the nezek happens. Basically, we have a kasha on Rabbi Yosef, someone dug a hole in Rishus HaRabim, Pischel Rishus HaYochid, and its entrance is in Rishus HaYochid, potter, your potter, even though they're not allowed to do so. Why? You're not allowed to dig holes underneath Rishus HaRabim because it could cause damage, but you're still potter, because the entrance is in Rishus HaYochid. Someone dug a round hole, sichim is an oblong, u'ma'ara is like a tunnel, b'rishus a cave, b'rishus HaYochid, and Rishus HaYochid, u'pischel Rishus HaRabim, and the entrance is Rishus HaRabim chayev, then you're chayev. V'achayfe bar is b'rishus HaRabim, b'rishus HaYochid, someone dug a hole, b'rishus HaYochid, esmuch Rishus HaRabim, at the edge of Rishus HaRabim, kigoin eilu, like the people, achayfim le'ushin, who dig up for foundation. They want to do a foundation, so they dig into the ground and then they're going to fill it up with concrete or wood or whatever it is. Potter, then you're potter. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda, Mechayev. He says, that they dig it for foundation, is still chayev. Actually, has a mechitza, until he does a mechitza around it, asora, 10 tfachim. Or actually, archik mokum drusas ragli odo, mokum drusas ragli beima, arbrat tfachim. Or you keep your way 4 tfachim for where people walk or animals walk. Said the Gemara Diuk. Tama, the reason why in the Sefer your potter, when he did the Leushin, they did the Leushin, they did the foundations, olav the Leushin. If you just did a bar at the edge of Rishus HaRabim, in your Rishus, chayev. So you are chayev. Said the Gemara, how money? Who is this Braisa? Bishlei Rabba, because in the ratio of the Braisa it says bar Rishus HaYochid, your potter. And the Sefer it says bar Rishus HaYochid, you're also potter, but just because he did it for foundations, it's mashma. If you didn't do it for foundations, you'd be chayev. So it says in the ratio of the Braisa that you potter for bar Rishus HaYochid, and in the Sefer it says bar Rishus HaYochid, you're chayev. So how many? Bishlei Rabba, ratio Rabbi Shmuel. The ratio is Rabbi Shmuel, because Rabbi Shmuel says in Rishus HaYochid, you're potter, and fits in very good. The Sefer where it says a chayev, it's Rabbi Akiva. Elul Rabbi Yosef, who holds in Rishus HaYochid, everyone holds Yechayev. Bishlei Sefer that says Rishus HaYochid Yechayev if it's not for the Ushim Divrei HaKoil. Ela Reisha, and the Reisha money, lo Rabbi Shmuel v'lo Rabbi Akiva, because they both hold in Rishus HaYochid Yechayev. Omar lecha Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef will tell you, Kula Divrei HaKoil, the whole Braisa fits in over everyone. It is. the Reisha, the reason why your potter shelo ifgil reshus v'lo bar. He wasn't mafke, his reshus is bar, and therefore you shouldn't come into. If I did the whole in my reshus and someone comes in and falls, you're potter. Everyone holds that. The whole thing is if you're mafke reshus afterwards. So people, it's on the edge, but now here it's not on the edge. That's why you're potter. And the sefer fits in for everyone because bar reshus hayachid on the edge you're chayav. Amar Rav Ashi says Rav Ashi Ashtadu Kinu Rav Yosef L'Divrei HaKol. Now that Rav Yosef managed to fit in this brisa that there's no machlokes between Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Shmuel in this brisa, L'Rabba Nami Lo Yitukun Ketanoi. You won't say, let's put it not like machlokes Tanoim, because we don't like to say that one brisa, one mishnah is a machlokes Tanoim without saying it clearly inside. Mid the Reisha Rabbi Shmuel, since the Reisha is Rabbi Shmuel, because Lefi Rabba Shmuel is the only one who holds the bar b'reshus hayachid's potter. Sefer Nami Rabbi Shmuel. The Sefer is also Rabbi Shmuel. All l'chora Rabbi Shmuel holds that bar b'reshus hayachid is potter. The time of the lotion or lotion chayev, and why the reason that the only reason your potter is for foundations, or if it wouldn't be for foundations you'd be chayev. Or Rabbi Shmuel holds that bar b'reshus hayachid your potter. Ki go in the Arba Chavrucha l'Reshus Rabbim. It's talking about where he dug it in a bit into Reshus Rabbim, and therefore, even if you're Rabbi Shmuel, you'll be chayav in that case if it wasn't for foundations. Maybe they have another kasha. Chayfer bar b'reshus hayachid. Someone dug a hole in Reshus hayachid. Piskol Reshus Rabbim, and it's a bar b'reshus Rabbim chayav. So the chora it's lefi Rabbi Shmuel. Reshus hayachid, if it's in Reshus hayachid, that's muchal Reshus Rabbim potter. You potter. Bishleim Rabba Kul Rabbi Shmuel. If it's imperfect to Rabbi Shmuel's shitta, mamish Rabbi Shmuel's shitta. Reshus hayachid you potter. Reshus Rabbim. Sorry, Reshus hayachid yechayev. And Rabbi Shmuel, and it's Rabbi Shmuel. Again, because it's a bar b'reshus Rabbim, it's Rabbi Shmuel. B'reshus hayachid that's muchal Reshus Rabbim potter, because you potter in Reshus hayachid. Bishleim Rabba Kula Rabbi Shmueli. Ela Rabbi Yosef that holds that everyone agree in Reshus Rabbim Yechayev, in Reshus hayachid Yechayev. Bishleim Reisha that says in Reshus hayachid, in Reshus Rabbim Yechayev, Rabbi Shmuel. Ela Sefer that says that you potter in Reshus hayachid. Money Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Akiva doesn't fit in, not like Rabbi Shmuel, not like Rabbi Akiva, because everyone holds Yechayev. Amalecha, it's talking about b'choifa leushin. The reason why you're potter in Reshus hayachid is because he dug it for foundations. The Divrei HaKol, and everyone agreed that if you did it beheta for foundations, you're potter. Toner Rabbanon, Chofa Posach, someone who dug a hole in Reshus Rabbim to dig a well. Umasal Rabbim, and he tells the Rabbim, anyone could come use. This is meant for the public to have water to feed the animals to drink. Potter, even though that's a bar b'reshus Rabbim, you're potter because you did it for the public's needs. If he dug it for his own purposes in Reshus Rabbim, chayav, you're chayav, it's a bar in Reshus Rabbim. That was the minig of someone who was called Reb Nechunya, who used to dig burrs, sichnim aris. He used to dig them in Reshus Rabbim, and open them. And give it over, Rashi says, for the oil regalim, that they should have water to drink on the way up to Yerushalayim. When they heard about this story, they said, Kiyam zeh, Nechunya was Mekayim halacha zu, this halacha of this price that says that you're allowed to do so. Correct the Gemara, halacha zu v'tuloi, what, is this the only halacha he kept? Says the Gemara, Ela Ema say, af halacha zu, he kept even this halacha. But for sure he kept other halachas too. Ton Rabbanon learned, Ma'itze bebita shenechunya choyfe seichim boros, sichim, the Nechunyas had a story that his daughter, Shenafla lebar goder, she felt a big hole. They came and told it, it's Rabbi Chanina ben Doisa, what happened? Sure, the first hour when she could still survive inside, Amalem Shalom, she told him, yeah, she's safe. Shnia Amalem Shalom. Second hour, she could still survive if she's inside. He said, yeah, she's still safe. Shlishi is where if she's still in the hole, she'd drown. Amalem also, she's out. Amrullah, when she came out, they told him, yeah, look, who took you out? Amalem, she says, Zochar Amel of Rechelim of Ail Nizdamili. And Rashi says it was Eloi Shili Yitzchok. Zoken Echod Manigoy, and that's Avram who was leading this Ail. And he took her out and saved her Nes. Amrullah, so they told her, Chanina ben Doisa, Novi Ato? Are you a Novi? How did you know that she'll survive? Amar lahem, Loi Novi, Aloichi, I'm not a Novi, Veloi ben Novi, Aloichi, my father's no Novi. Elokach Amarati, this is why I said HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Dover Sha'is a Tzadik Mitztar Boy, Yikosha Boy Zari. This, that a person dug, that was his whole purpose in life, or one of his purposes, a big thing to do, to dig and make holes for wells, for people to drink, for the public. For that, his daughter's going to die. His dowry will be nechshal in it. Doesn't make sense. Omar Ravacha, says Ravacha, Afal Pikein, even though Meis Bnoi Batzoma, his son died from thirst. So we could see that even though that he would make people not thirsty, his son did die. And the Shita Mekubetza says, Asakasha, we just said that I can't be. Rabbi Chanina ben Doisa said that I can't be. So he says that in the first case, when he knew as it's happening in Chanina ben Doisa, so Rabbi Chanina ben Doisa, he timed it against HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, doesn't make sense. How could he kill this daughter of his, of this tzaddik, who this is his purpose in life, to help people with this? Doesn't make no sense. But in the other case with the son, so he never knew about it. So he couldn't do this timing against HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and therefore he died. Shenemar, let's have the posuk, V'svivov Nishar Me'od. Around Hashem is very tough. Melamed HaKadosh Baruch Hu Medakdek in Svivov Afilu K'chitosayra. Now the people that are very close to him, he's much more medakdek than other people. It's like a king that has servants. So if a faraway servant who he never sees did something against them, it's not such a big deal. But if his close advisor does even a little thing against him, it's much more of a big deal. Rav Nechuni Omer Marach, Rav Nechuni says the same thing, but he says we learn it from a different pasuk. Kein narot besoid kedoshim rabbo v'noira al kol svivov, and he's very strong on noira on all the people around him. The same idea. Omar Nechuni says Omar Chanina says Rab Chanina kol ha'ima HaKadosh Baruch Hu v'atron. Anyone who says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you could do a various, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu will forgive you without tshuva. Just HaKadosh Baruch Hu slips it, doesn't care. So anyone who says HaKadosh Baruch Hu vatron hu yivatru chayav, his life should be hefka, because then he makes people choyte. People say, oh, I could do Michal Shabbos and nothing's going to happen. Shneimar, what in Kor atzur torin po, like you call drachim mishpat. All his drachim is mishpat. He doesn't just say, oh, you know what, I don't care about this person doing a verse. Amar Rab Chana, ve'itei Rab Shmuel ben Nachmani, says Rab Chana, and some people say Rab Shmuel ben Nachmani says it. Mai dichsiv. What's pshat in the pasuk? Erech hapayim. It says like HaKadosh Baruch Hu has erech hapayim. But like erech af. So בפשטות erech hapayim means that he doesn't get angry. That even though that someone does something and Hashem should get angry with him, Hashem holds his anger back and he waits to see if the person's going to do tshuva. But why did it say it in Lashon Rabbim? It's erech af. It's anger. It's only anger. Erech hapayim is mashma two types of erech, of keeping things. So we say erech hapayim letzadikim l'rishoyim. That like we said l'rishoyim, that's poshet erech af. That Hashem doesn't punish them straight away. So also erech hapayim for tzadikim, you can do something good and you won't get paid for it straight away. You get paid for it later. That's why it says Lashon Rabbim. Tanu Rabbanon learned Lo yisokel adam l'rishus Rabbim. A person shouldn't throw stones from his private property to a place where people walk. There was a story with one person, that he was throwing stones from his private property to where people walk. And a chassid saw him. He told this person, Reika, empty man, what's the reason you are throwing out stones from a property that's not yours? To your rishus, to Rabbim. Ligalov, he laughed, it didn't make no sense. What do you mean this is no my rishus? This is my rishus. What are you saying? I'm praying it for something that's no my rishus. He laughed at him. Liyomim, days came, Nitzuchrum Kursadeu, he had to sell his field. Vayomalech boys Rishus Rabbim, when he was walking past this field in the Rishus Rabbim, when he tripped over those rocks. He said, Yofa Oma Lioisi Chosid, correct, this Chosid told me, Pneimat or Mesakel, Mirshus Shein Shechol, Rishus Shechol, because Rishus Rabbim will always stay yours. But your Rishus, that you think it's yours, it might, maybe tomorrow you'll need to sell and it won't be your Rishus. It made sense what the Chosid told him. Said the Mishnah, someone dug a hole in Rishus Rabbim and I fell a soiche shur or a chamur or cow or donkey fell in. You need to pay. Echod achoyfe bor, it doesn't matter if it's a round hole, siach, oblong, uma'ara is a cave with a roof. Charitzim is a type of like a cave without a roof. And itzim, it's like a conus that's narrow at the bottom and wide at the top. Chayiv. All these cases chayiv. Imkein lama ne'emar bor. Why does it say in the Torah bor that's round and small? It's come to tell you, ma bor she'es bo yikadai la'omis asor. Like bor, when does it kill? When it has asor tfachim. Afkol, anything she'es bo yikadai la'omis asor tfachim. Anything, any type of hole that has to be that could kill asor tfachim yichayiv. Oyo pchusim asor tfachim. If one of these type of holes were less than a sort of tefachim deep, and a shur chamor fell inside, potter, because we know that less than 10 tefachim shouldn't kill. If he only broke his leg, then you do need to pay, even though that doesn't have a sort of tefachim. Amar Rav, says Rav, a big chiddush. The reason why you chayav on a bor in the Torah is lehevloi. It's for its bad gases or bad air at the bottom of the bor. But not for the bang that you get at the bottom. So the whole chiddush of the Torah they chayav for bor is for the bad air, because of the bad air where you dig a bor, but not for the bang at the bottom. Alma Kosova, you can see he holds chavota, the banging. It wasn't me. That ground always existed. I just revealed it. For that you can't be mechayev me, but for the air that by me digging I created it over there, for that I'm chayev. Shmuel says lehevloi. Yeah, you chayev also for hevel. The koshikin the chavota. But also you don't say this for karka olam. For the bang you also chayev. V'im toima, maybe you could say lechavota yom Torah. If you say lechavota v'loi lehevloi, maybe only for the chavota and not for the hevel. A Torah ido ala bor va'afilu moles foigim shel tzemah. Since the Torah says that the bor is chayev, and it doesn't say that the bottom of the bor is rock concrete hard, so even if it's a bottom it's very soft, you'll still be chayev. What's pshat is no chavota. Elomai, the reason is that the Torah is mechayev you also for chavota and also for hevel, for the bad air underneath. Said the Gemara, my benai, what's the difference in afkamin halacha between them? Said the Gemara, ikipenai the ovad goiva, that he built in Rishus Rabbim a small mound, a little hill, and a cow went on and fell off 10 tefachim and he died. Now, where he fell, it's not dig, there's no hevel over there, there's only chavota. He did a mound in Rishus Rabbim because there's no hevel. You'll also be chayev for hevel. My time of the Rav. What's pshat in Rav? What's his source for his din? The Omar Kro said in the pasuk v'nofal. It says that he fell ad she'ipol derech nefila. That he have to fall derech nefila. How does a person fall? Normally he's walking, and then he falls down the bor and his head falls in first. Why do you need derech nefila? If the whole reason that you chayev is because of the chavota, doesn't matter if you fall legs in first or head first. Elamai, the Torah is saying that the reason why you chayev is for the heaven, and that's why you chayev if you fall derech nefila, that your head's at the bottom, that you have bad air. But for the chavota, you're not chayev. V'shmuel nofal kol do mashma. He learns nofal means any type of nefila. So even if he falls legs in first, where there's no hevel, you'll still be chayev because of the chavota. And it says in the Mishnah, why does it say bur in the Torah if every type of hole is chayev? Like a bur has to kill a sort tfachim, all types of holes shesh b'kedei is a sort tfachim. So the Gemara Bishleim and Shmuel afkol, when it says in the Mishnah afkol, it's coming last week, it's coming to Merabah l'Rabba Goiva in a case where he did a mount. Elo l'Rav afkol asui, my words coming to include. So the Gemara asui charitzim v'neitzim, to include a case where he did like a cave without a roof, or neitzim where it's narrow at the bottom and wide on the top. That's what it's coming to include. It says that clearly in the Mishnah. So why you need to say it again? So the Gemara Toni v'Adam Mefarish. Yeah, really it says it clearly, but then it says Afkoil, then it explains how we know all these things. And it's not coming to include any other things than what we said clearly earlier. It's just coming to explain the source, how we know that Yechayev. Says the Gemara, all these cases in Mishnah, why do we need to say it's charitzim, neitzim? You need it. The iton a bur, if you would say only bur avamin a bur asoro de is behavla. The reason why you chayv is because there is a hevel mishum de kotin v'kricha, because it's narrow, it's small and round. Aval siach, when it's oblong, the orich, that's much more bigger, longer on one side. Maybe there's no hevel bad air at the bottom. If you'd say siach havamin a siach asaru de is beavlo mishum de kotim, because it's small, ava ma'ora de marbra, that's square and it's much bigger. Maybe there's no hevel at the bottom. If you'd say a cave havamin a ma'ora ba'asaru de is beavlo mishum de metalile, has a roof. Aval charitzin de lo metalile, that's like a cave without a roof. Maybe there's no hevel. And if you would say charitzim, havamin charitzim asoro dis beavla, you know why? Mishum de les berevicha meleel tfei mitatoy, because the width at the top and at the bottom is the same. Avol neitzin, but neitzin de revicha meleel, that there's more width at the top. Tfei mitatoy, more than at the bottom. Eme barasor les beavla. Maybe at the bottom that's so narrow, there's none of this bad air. Kamash malon, even there you say that there's bad air and Yechayev. And for sure this also goes with Shmuel, because Shmuel also agrees with the time of Hevel. Now, and it says in the Mishnah, if the bur was less than 10 tfachim, and ofal is a shur chamur meis potter, and a bur, a donkey died, potter, because it doesn't have enough to kill. If it got damaged, chai. Nofal is a shur chamur meis. Sorry, again. Now, and it says in the Mishnah, if he died, it's potter. If huzak boy got damaged, chayv. Nofal it's chamor meis. Potter, we said your potter my time. Or what the reason? Isn't it not the reason is because there's no chavota? And because you don't get enough bank, so that's why you're potter, and it's a kasha on both Ben Rab Ben Shmuel. It's a kasha, Rashi says, because we understand that there's less of a bank by 5 tefachim, but the hevel is the same. Why shouldn't you be chai for the hevel? Both Rab and both Shmuel say chai for hevel. So the Gemara loy mishum de les behavlo. No, there's no hevel, and that's why you're potter. So the Gemara Yochi Yimuzak Boy Chayev, why should be Chayev for Hezek? Holes behavla, there's no bad day. Amri ein havla lemisa v'yesh havla lenezokim. Yeah, there's no hevel, there's no bad air for dying enough to kill you, but there's enough bad air to cause an hezek, and that's why you Chayev. Shkoyach.